And just in case somebody sees, all right, I don't have a pinky or thumb or this finger over here, okay? They press the ones, they pop off. It's okay. Just in case some people notice, I talk with my hands and stuff. So somebody gonna see it and say something. So just saying. Hey Royals, it's your girl Empress Rossi back with a brand new video coming to share with you my story about how I technically didn't graduate college, okay? But more importantly, I want to share how the experience really was something that I was ashamed of for a long time, and I felt embarrassed. And I'm hoping that this will help to encourage anyone else who has a situation or a story or a circumstance that maybe you dealt with and you feel shame or embarrassment about it, and it was something that was maybe meant to be great or that you wanted to feel good about, but then you didn't, and for whatever reason possible, there was shame somehow attached to it, or somehow embarrassment or guilt attached to it. And this was one of those situations for me. So when I was in college, I attended an HBCU, the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, and it's in Atlanta, Georgia, just in case you were wondering, because it's a long running joke apparently, but a serious question that we are often asked is, where is your school? It's in Atlanta, in case you didn't get it from the name, which says Clark Atlanta University. But just wanted to help make that clear for some folks. But nevertheless, I studied biology, got a BS in biology. I went through a whole process as far as even getting into college, and it was a really big deal for me. However, an even bigger deal, and which is often commonly the highlight of going to college, is graduating from college, right? And everybody has a different story. People don't always just go for 4 years and graduate. However, I did. It was 4 years and 3 months. Okay. And this is why I say I technically didn't graduate from college. The reason I say it was technical is because, well, let me back it up for y'all and explain what led to the technicality. All right. So in my senior year, things were going tough. I would love to say that things were going really well and I was super duper excited about my senior year, but it was stressful and it was a lot. Okay, my second half, I was behind in my credits already, so I had to apply to take a full overload of 21 credits instead. And thank God I got approved for the overload that semester. So it was hectic, heavy, and crazy. Not to mention the organizations and things that I was involved in and a part of, and all of that on top of having a 21 credit load. In the process, I was taking I believe it was our microbiology class, and the lab to it was, I think it was called something different, but nevertheless, it was a microbiome class and a lab with the microbiome class. Most students who passed the class failed the lab, and the students who failed the lab passed the class. Now, it wasn't exactly like that, but majority of the students who had an issue with their grade, and we're all seniors, so we need this grade. We need to pass both in order to graduate. So what ended up happening was the group of students who didn't pass the class were able to go to the dean's office and complain, and were able to all get their grades changed to a passing grade of C. You had to have a C or better in all of your major courses, a D or better in all of the basic courses. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to graduate. My bad. Heard something. But anyway, all of the students, it was myself and 4 other students, they would not change our grade, and decided that we had to take the course over the summer, and that they would approve for us to walk in graduation, but we had to agree to be there for the summertime to redo the lab course. I just remember feeling like I was glad that I got to graduate, but at the same time, it was just like I was embarrassed. And for whatever reason, in my mind, I felt like everybody knew. And most people to this day don't know, and most people probably won't find out until and or if they see this video. But I just felt totally embarrassed. I was ashamed and disappointed in myself, feeling like, man, now I'm like thinking back in my mind, like, darn, I wish I would have did those labs. I wish I would have done this and that. Like, I'm thinking of all the things that I should have done, could have done, that would have prevented this from happening. Because I just was like, this is horrible to get all the way here and you missing 3 lab assignments cost you your degree. I really went into a, a slight depression, I would say. It was just so much that went through my mind, and I just was like beating myself up about. And I can remember coming home, and like I said, in my mind, I'm like, everybody knows that I'm gonna have to go back, or like people are gonna question, why is she going back for the summer? Like, I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want anyone to know what was going on or why it had happened, or whatever. I remember getting home, and I cried like almost every day I was home. Every time I thought about the situation and the fact that I was gonna have to go back to Atlanta to take this course over the summer, and I'm gonna see people who saw me like walk the stage or saw me graduate, I just kept thinking about, like, what am I gonna say? Like, I'm gonna look so foolish. I'm gonna look so dumb. Then I remember feeling like my grandparents were really just disappointed because my grandfather paid my college tuition. So I thank God for him and for that. So when I had to go to him to tell him that now I have to go back to school and that has to get paid for, again, like a burden of like disappointment and shame. Like, shame was like the heaviest garment of the whole circumstance. I'm just like, man, I let my family down. I let this person down. Like, it just was this overwhelming feeling. And this is all in my head, right? And so that's what happens most often, is what we make up in our minds is not the reality of the circumstance. But because of how I felt about myself and feeling like I let myself down, feeling like I hadn't done right, I got caught up in my head and the thoughts and those negative thoughts that kept running through my mind. And so it just continued to snowball into so many other things that weren't true. I can remember when I came home, I knew that I would have to fly back. And so I like was posting all these pictures and taking pictures with people, and the whole time in my mind I'm thinking, like, this ain't even real for you, for real. Like, I felt like I didn't really even earn it. It's still an accomplishment. You are still you're a first generation graduate. Like, you're the first in your family to go to college, 4-year degree, and graduate. It took, but in that moment, because I was so caught up in my thoughts, it stole that moment from me to really bask in that excitement and that enjoyment. But now, because of me being able to come back to myself and really knowing who I am and really engaging and spending more time with God, allowed me to see how that shame and that hurt and that embarrassment really took over, because it got even heavier at the end of it all, because I went back, took the course, passed the course, got a whole A, everything. At the end of it all with the summer course, found out they went to review my transcript again. In the process of reviewing my transcript, they found that I had a D in a major course. So found a school that had a correlating course that they would accept the credits for in order to get that back and do all of that, and went through that whole process. But in that time frame, from May 18th of 2015 through December of 2015, I carried this heaviness, this shame, these burdens on myself. But I want to encourage you to not allow yourself to be overwhelmed in those moments by what it looks like it shouldn't be, or what you feel like you don't deserve, or what you believe or misinterpret that you're not worthy of. You are still worthy of the congratulations. You are still worthy of the uplifting. You earned it. You worked for it. It may not be in the same sense or in the same manner which you imagined it to be like, but don't let your moment be stolen away where you can truly embrace and celebrate and be uplifted in those moments. Don't sit in your head and sit with your thoughts and allow your especially when it comes to negative thoughts, to just snowball in that way. Take the time to set aside a moment, and when those things start to come, just begin to pray. Just say, Jesus, I need you in this moment, because I don't want to let this time be stolen away by the overwhelming feeling of the lies that are going through my mind right now. Ask God to help you in that moment live in and embrace the reality of the circumstance, and not be in your mind and in your head about what it's not, who you're not, because God says that we are winners. God says that we are conquerors. I still did that. I still accomplished something that no one else had accomplished in my family at this point. Look at all that you have accomplished. We can often get so caught up in what we have not done, and where we're not, and what we don't do, and what we have yet to do. What have you done that's gotten you there? Celebrate those things. What gets done is better than what you've tried that didn't get accomplished. The fact that you were able to take the step to go and do that thing, right? The fact that you made it through that time, you accomplished that. Embrace that, celebrate that, focus on that. I hope that this video was helpful and encouraging and uplifting to those of you who may have needed it and wanted to, hear a story of triumph and overcoming the shame and guilt and embarrassment that may be tied to, or even disappointment that may be tied to, an experience that was meant to be joyous and celebrated. I look forward to sharing more with you. As I always say, prepare, pursue, persist, and you'll prosper. Bye.